Good morning all. Is it morning? Let me just check my atomic watch that's never wrong. Oh dear. It's 1:05, guys. It's not morning anymore. Very, very good afternoon to you. Welcome aboard. Another diatribe of communication, of taxis and the world and life and what we have. Let me just get you in there. Very good afternoon to you. It's Big Jim in his London Taxi International 2003. 284,000 I think we're up to now, miles on the clock. And life is good. The sun is out, although they are giving heavy storms today. Today being Friday. And I'm week 2, excuse me. That's better, isn't it? There you go. I'm week 2, I believe it is. Sorry about that. Week 2, week 3. Week 3, I think I am. Week 3 of my holiday. And life couldn't be better, everyone. Give you a quick update on Poppy. Touch plastic. That's full mica that looks like, basically looks like wood, but I know it's not. She's running absolutely fine. Spot on, really good. I came back from Horsham yesterday and I was just popping down, just a nice little trek back on the A24, and I could not believe just how nice. I was like, do you know, sometimes I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but sometimes you drive your car and you think, or whatever you're driving, oh, she doesn't seem quite happy today, there's something doesn't seem right. And other times you drive it and it drives absolutely perfectly and you think, oh, this is so smooth. Now that might be the way that we perceive and the way that we are, but yesterday and today it was like spot on. The gear changing, everything, all the controls, the dials, the steering, it all felt like it was working 100%. And it probably always does, but perhaps I'm not as tuned in as Poppy is always tuned in to me, because I class her now as to be really one of the family now. She's I just love her, I really do. I was actually talking to a friend. I was over at a friend's actually, and we were talking about clay barring, and he said he'd heard about all this clay barring vehicles, and I said, well, come out and feel Poppy and just rub your hands on the side of Poppy and tell me what you feel. And it was like smooth as silk, absolutely beautiful, smooth as silk. And yet he run his hands across his vehicle, which is only about 2 or 3 years old, and he could feel the grip. And he said, oh my God, I can feel it. And I tell you, if you've ever got thinking about clay barring and think it's a waste of time, just do it. For what it costs you, it's well worth a do. I think the clay bar and the detailing fluid cost me about a tenner for the two, and the difference it's made on the polish that you put on afterwards, a good quality polish, is like tenfold. The cab now just sort of, it's got this luster and this shine, and I put that all down to the clay barring. So if you're ever thinking about clay barring, don't sort of think too much, just take the plunge and do it. And don't do it as some people have suggested, it takes you all day, like, you know, swirl. They actually say, because I've done all the homework on YouTube, do not go round in circles, because if you do that you put micro scratches in it, and what you do is it can be then viewed at any angle. You're meant to do it as a hashtag, i.e. just across and then just up and down, and very sort of just hand, no pressure, no pushing hard, and just, I can do I've done the bonnet of Poppy in about a minute. I done it, it's alright, that's the guys I know, they're Russian friends. I done it in about a minute, just over a minute. Probably clay barred the whole car and made quite a good job of it, probably in about 45 minutes to an hour. So that's exactly what, and then obviously you have to follow up with a decent polish, and I told you I've got that really good quality Harley wax that's stunning, absolutely stunning. And you've seen the pictures or the video on the previous one of how she's come up. So yeah, if you get a chance, guys and gals, get out there with that clay bar. It's not one of those American things that don't do anything and don't work. It bloody works, and it certainly worked for me. And remember, you've seen the videos, it works for me on this old car that I've got, on a 2003, and if it can work on that and bring it up to a beautiful polish, it should work out on yours. Actually, if I put my hand outside the motor now, which I'm doing, you can feel this smoothness. It's such a luster of smoothness. There's no grit on there. You can't feel this like grit, and yet you run it on a normal car. Like I said, I run it on my daughter's car as well, and her car is a lot newer than this, and it felt like basically her car had sandpaper on it. You can't see it, but you can feel it, and if you can feel it, that probably breaks down what the seal that you can put over with a decent polish. So you are now preaching to the converted with reference to clay barring, 100% all the time. I reckon you've got to do it once a year, possibly twice a year if you're really fanatical. So knowing me, that'll probably be 3 or 4 times a year. Traffic's quite busy out here on a Friday, which it normally is. People get the chance to break away and get off and go on their little jollies for the weekend, and good luck to them, you know. You're only here once, so I'm now stuck stop-starting traffic. But hey, this is an old London taxi. This is used to stop-starting traffic. It does make me smile actually, because 9 times out of 10, Poppy's like 30, 40 mile an hour around here. Once we get out of town, you know, on the A roads, the world's your oyster, and I'm sort of up to 40s and 50s and 60s. Yes, even I get to 60, and she does, you know, she literally does fly, and the old engine can breathe. You can imagine what life must have been like for, again, you see, I'm imparting a human quality on vehicles. Perhaps that's, oh, I know it's just not me, because there's a guy called Mark who's got exactly the same. He's got a TX, and he says the same thing. I can't remember the name he's given his one, but she's the prima donna, and you do impart this like humanesque sort of quality on them. And perhaps, I don't know if that's good or bad, but you can imagine, you know, just going round London, if you bear with me on this one, spending all day stop start, you know, London in a bowl, chugged up with fumes. You know, the engine's got to breathe. I don't care what you know, and that's not putting a human sort of side on it. For an engine to work efficiently, it's got to be able to get some air in there. Yes, it's pulled through an air filter to breathe, but if it doesn't get a chance to have a run, and I know on a modern vehicle, as you know, especially the diesels, is it the DPF filter? If that doesn't get up to a certain speed and a heat, then you get an engine management light come on, and that's what's happening to a lot of these vehicles, and they're basically chugging in, and the filters need to go in an oven and be stripped, and to be, you know, a high temperature oven, to be baked off and then put back on again, because they haven't reached a certain heat. And that's, you know, when you think about it, and that's probably because they're all chugged up. I've got an acquaintance that I know that was part of the big Range Rover operation. He was into engine development, and he buys and sells Range Rovers and Land Rovers. And he's turned around, and I was talking to him over a beer a few months ago, and he said that he buys a lot of, as he calls them, Chelsea tractors, sort of discos, discoveries, that are sort of disco 3s and 4s that have literally gone into limp mode driving around London all day, and the engine has just got completely chucked up, and he buys them off as almost non-runners in limp mode and spends a good few days on them, cleaning them out and bringing them back to how they should be. And then he's got, you know, he doesn't hold them, he just does them up and then flogs them and sends them back out into the road and possibly back to Chelsea again. You know, these vehicles do need to breathe, same as us. I mean, I used to live in a big city. You know, you could probably hear by my voice. I'm a Londoner, born and bred, stuck at the crossings. I'm a Londoner, born and bred, and I spent all my life sort of up to the age of about 17 in London, and of course didn't recognise it. And now I've been living down on the coast for so long now, I just like it. I just love the cooling breeze and the air and everything like that. Now, so an engine needs to breathe. So that's what I'm saying. I'm going back to, I digress as I say, that Poppy is running just lovely now. And once she gets that another oil change done, which will be 2 in a year, 8,000 miles, 4,000 miles an oil change. All right, OTT, I know, but I'll be a lot more happy there then that there's decent oil running around. Now, you might be able to hear a whirring in the background. Now, I've actually got a fridge on board in here. It's a little plug-in fridge that I got from the boot fair. It hasn't got any coolant in it, and there's a word for it, but it works by blowing air over an aluminium comb, and in turn it's something to do with a chemical reaction. It cools down the base. It doesn't actually freeze it, but it just drops it below the ambient temperature. Come back if someone knows exactly what it's called. It's called the such and such effect. It was discovered by a German, I believe it was, or an Austrian. Now I can't remember it. It was something effect. They're fairly cheap. Brand new, you're probably talking about 40 quid, 50 quid. I don't know. Again, you know what I'm like for my boot fair finds. I picked this up from the boot fair for 2 quid. Took a chance, plugged it in. It's got 2 settings. Depends which way you wire it up. The other way is it keeps food warm. The other way you turn it on and it keeps it cool. I don't know what the draw is on the battery, but it always seems to be okay. It's whirring away. All right, it's not the quietest of things, but when the cab's running, these ain't the quietest of vehicles either. You know, you couldn't mistake yourself for driving a Tesla when you're driving an old London taxi, because it clatters and batters around. Actually, my daughter, my youngest daughter, well, she's 28, 29 now, she turned around and said to me, "Dad, it sounds like," this was her words, "sounds like I'm standing next to an old Mr. Whippy ice cream machine." And it made me smile, because I think, yeah, they do. They've got that, you know, you get the luck, a bit like an old bus, I suppose, in a sense. You get that. It does sound like an old ice cream machine, and it did make me smile. And I thought to myself, yeah, you are right. So, yeah, these aren't the quietest of vehicles, believe me. So, if quietness is your thing as well, and you really love the ambient sort of quietness, don't get a London taxi, because they do. They are very distinctive with the 2.4 Transit Duratalk engine in them. Well, the 2.7s on the early ones, which were the Nissan engines, they are, again, you can pick them up straight away, and you pick up the sound. Again, see, I can't hear the fan going now on the fridge because the engine's so loud. The radio you have to turn up to a good few volume and all, and it's just because the size of the engine that you've got under here. You just get used to all these like little noises. and the engine obviously being one of them, the strongest one, you can just hear it all the time. So yeah, if you want quiet in your life, total silence. It used to be, another one was the what's the Japanese luxury, the Lexus. It used to be the Lexus. These aren't a Lexus, guys. You know, don't expect complete silence for these. They'll just keep going all day. So I've got this little fridge that probably takes about 4 little cans of Coke. But that saves you money, because you've not, listen to me, skinflint, it saves you money, save you. Do you know what, I'm starting to sound like a proper taxi driver, because I've been reading how they are sort of short arms, long pockets, tight as a drum, you know. And perhaps I'm going that way, but why, when you go out, spend $1.50 on a can of drink in some of these places, when I can just put my hand in my little fridge and pull out a cold, and they bloody are cold as well. They get very, very cold. Pull out one of those, and they set me back, because I buy them in packs of 24. Set me back, I think about 20p a can, and that's proper Coke. So I am becoming that taxi driver. And I will even share with you, it doesn't actually finish there, because I've got one of those little camping cookers as well, the ones that take the little gas bottles, you know, and I've got one of them in there, and just down there in my little box I've got a camping kettle as well, and I've got the sugar, the tea and the powdered milk, and always carry water just in case of a leak or an overheat in the back. Always come prepared like an old Boy Scout. I've even got that there, and I've been known to get that as well, put the old camping cooker on and make myself a cup of tea. So I mean, that's a skill in itself, isn't it, eh? That's a skillful thing to do. Why pay £1.50, again £1, whatever, for a cup of tea, when if I get my little stove out at any time, just plug it in, and you can set your stove up on here because it fits on my basket kind of nice. As long as I've got the windows open, I don't want to asphyxiate myself with carbon monoxide. You know, that's all I need. So I'll make sure the windows are open, and it gives a lovely hot cup of tea in not a sort of. Well, it takes about, to boil up a kettle takes about a sort of kettle about a minute. After a minute, I've got I'm where I should be, like, you know. Look at this place down here. Honestly, you need to sort this out. This parking down here is just a nightmare. Nothing is going to move. Yeah, so that's basically what I do with the kettle. So, you know, I'm a bit of an old Boy Scout, you know. I'm a bit of an old Boy Scout. That's what I like to do. This old boy can't get through this gap. Look, it's only got about 19 foot either side. I like to put the, you know, I like to be prepared at all times, kettle wise. I like to sort of make sure that I always come prepared, and I don't like being ripped off. I mean, that's the thing, when you get ripped off all the time because these people are charging you so much for, I just sort of, it's a way I can stick my fingers up to them and say, well, actually, I ain't paying that. And that's all sort of stored down on here. So if I bring myself a little sandwich or something like that, I've got me cold drinks, I've got me hot tea. I mean, I've got everything I want, really. The only thing I haven't got is a microwave. So don't tempt me, that'll probably be the next thing, because I know you can get them. I've seen people that have actually converted the passenger cab area, and I've seen it converted into a like a little kitchen area with a sink and I've seen the backs converted out with seats that can actually lay right back and get converted into a bed, and so they're actually a little camper. Now I wouldn't do that to Poppy, because to me she wasn't designed for that. You get people sometimes, I've seen these converted into a barista coffee little business. There's so much can do with these because you've got so much space, but that's not something that I would do. Let's just switch that overdrive out. That's something that I wouldn't do. So have one of these guys. You can, on it, girls, you can do what you want. Honestly, you can really. You've got everything you need in here. You've got the doors on the cab as well. That, you know, the old adage, the old saying, they say, oh, you got an ear, you got ears like taxi doors, meaning that they open up so far. It's a removal van if you want it in the back there. The amount of stuff they can take, it'll take a fridge freezer in the back there, no problem. The only problem that you've got with these, the boot, you've never seen such a small area in all your life. You're probably, because that's where in the TX2 or the TX range they keep the spare wheel, big old chunky spare wheel, and also the ramp for the disabled access on the TX2 and above, TX2 and 4. You probably get a bag of golf clubs in there, and that's it. There's no room really in the boot, which does make me laugh a little bit, because, you know, you think, because all the space is all down here to your near side. All this here, this big area here, is your space area, and that's better for me because I keep all the essential things that I want at arm's length here. So I've got me baseball caps, I've got me fridge if I want to grab a Coke on the go. I've got my cup holder here, that's a factory fitted thing, just down here, that I can put my can of Coke on, or my tea, or my coffee. I've got all my little bits and pieces with me cups and me CDs. That's all at sort of arm's length. I'm not having to stick it away. I have got a very, very small little sort of cubby hole pull down thing here, but you can't get really a lot in there. Glove compartment, that was the word. Got a very small glove compartment, but I've got a massive glove compartment here. I've got one of those expandable there, it's gone, but it's going to see, this is old age, this is what happens. Like a little expandable case. It sort of flat pack folds, and you can sort of unfold it. I think I got it from the £2 shop or something like that, but it's brilliant. Might have been Tesco's as well. And you just unfold it, and it's like a little, you know, it's like a little cage, and that now stores all my stuff in there, so it doesn't go all over the bloody place. And I've actually stood my little fridge inside there, and I've broken out one of the little vents on this little cage, and then I plug my fridge directly into that through the back, so it doesn't move, and it bloody works. It works for me. It works for me, gang. Life is life. And you probably followed me on this route. You know where I'm going this morning, don't you? I'm on my way, as I always do. I'm gonna have a cup of tea or a cold. Oh, what's happened here? Oh, she's not open. Why isn't she open? Why haven't they opened up the? Oh, okay. The picnic area's not opened up. Okay, we don't care. I don't care. Well, if the picnic area ain't opened up, then we'll just have to book into here. This is the sort of main car park, gang. It's the this is the sort of, this is where all the biker boys coming in down here when they come in. I like to sort of park under a tree to get, so it's not too warm. Oh, that's down the hill on that one. Oh, I was taking that stuff there. That's it. Right. Well, I'm here. And you probably can hear now in the background the whirring of the fridge. And so I'm going to have myself a nice ice cold Coke now. I'm going to wave you guys goodbye because I've been going on for 25 minutes. Oh my god, you're going to get bored of me. Look, from Big Jim and his London Taxi International 2003 on 280,000 miles plus, I'd like to say thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll answer all your calls and queries. Anything you want to talk about, I'll come back to you. Been really nice as always. Check out for the updates. You'll be getting an email when there's an update coming through. Guys, I'm going to have a nice cold drink now. I'm going out tonight. It's Friday night. There'll be a few drinks and the cab will be nicely locked up in its car parking space because we don't drink drive, do we? Nice speaking to you all. Catch you soon. Ciao, ciao.